I'm Miss Andrea from Adams Memorial Library, and today we're going to be making another one of our online ocean crafts. The one we're going to be working on today is personally one of my favorites because I love the orcas of the killer whales, but we're going to be making your little egg killer whale. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what you need to grab from that craft kit that you picked up at the library so we can get started. You're going to need that egg that's in there. It's the white egg. You're going to want your paintbrush. And then I have these bottles, but you have little containers in your bag of the white paint and the black paint. So you're going to need the white paint, the black paint cups, the egg, the paintbrush. And then if you don't already have one, grab a pencil. And I have mine cut out, but you're going to see there's a little square pattern piece in there that's going to contain these patterns that you'll need for your killer whale. So it'll have the little dorsal fin, the side fins, and then your tail. Okay, so you're going to need that piece that has those patterns on it, and then a sheet of black cardstock. Okay, there's also that marker kit in there. So if you want to pull out that marker pack, you can. I'm going to show you the option that you can use the black marker in there for a little later. If you want to add it to your whale, you can, but I'll explain that as we get started on our craft today. All right, so once you have those items all out and ready to go, then we're ready to get started. Okay, so to start our orca or our killer whale, the first thing you're going to want is your egg, your black paint, and your paintbrush. Now I have a plate as well too that I'm just going to use to help paint on today so I don't get paint everywhere. But the first thing you want to do then is to pick up your, put it off to the side for now, is to pick up your egg. You're going to notice when you look at your egg, you're going to see the center line that goes around. So it's harder to see on camera. So what I did was I traced it with a pencil. You don't have to trace it. I just did this to show you. But you're going to see there's a center line that kind of runs around your egg. All right. You're going to use that center line to help you when you're painting the black part of your orca today. Okay. So go ahead then and take out your black paint and your paintbrush. And then you're going to notice what I did here on my sample and what I'm going to do on this egg here is you want to use that center line that I pointed out to you. And that's kind of where you're going to paint your black. So the bottom half of your orca is mostly going to be white and the top half is going to be black. Now, here's also where I use the pencil. You don't have to use a pencil. You can just kind of eyeball it. I like to use the pencil because it kind of draws then I can draw out where I want my paint line to be. So I can look, it's easier for me to see, okay, I can make the black go to here, or I can make this piece be white. So what I did, so like I told you, I used this center line and I just followed that center line about halfway across the egg. And then once I got halfway across the egg, I just kind of dropped down. So let me make that a little darker so you can see it. I just kind of drew a curve and dropped down. So I went halfway along the center of my egg, curved and dropped down. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm just going to follow that center line around my egg. Go to about halfway. And again, you just can kind of judge this. If you go a little beyond halfway, it doesn't really matter. You can always paint more later. And I have found that if you make a mistake with the black, like you paint a piece that black that you didn't want to be black, if you let it dry real good, you can just paint right over it with the white and fix it. So that's always an option. And I kind of did the same thing. Go halfway across, curve and down. Both sides, halfway across, curve and down. So that way when you look at the back of your egg, you're going to see here's my curved line on this side, here's my curved line on this side. I'm just going to go ahead and connect them. All right, so now I have on my egg the kind of baseline. So all of this up here will be black and this piece down here will be white. Okay, so I'm going to use that line. Again, I just drew it with a pencil. If you want to just eyeball it, you can. You don't have to do a line. I just find it a little easier to follow along with the line. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and start painting. So I'm just going to take some of the black on my brush. Start painting. Now, I always find it good to hold it. So if you can wedge it between two fingers, because unless you kind of want to hold it while it dries, because it's really hard to sit down to let dry just because it's that egg shape. So it's not going to sit real nice and flat for you and therefore be rolling around. So if you want to set it down to dry, I definitely recommend setting it on a plate. Obviously, even if the rest of it dries and you have a little smudge, you can always repaint over that with black later. But while you're painting, the best bet is to take wedge it between two of your fingers and then just kind of paint as much as you can around those fingers. So again, I'm going to follow my line, so painting to the edge, and then I just kind of curve down and then fill that in. And like I said, if I don't like my curve, I want to fix it, I can always go over it with black paint again. I can change it in any way with my paintbrush. If I accidentally paint a part with, oh, I kind of want more white here, that's fine too. I just let the black dry and I can paint over it with my white paint. So don't worry, there is room for error or mistakes. We can always fix them. So again, I'm just going to go around. Now, I did on this one, I'm doing, you can see this is one coat of black paint. So one coat of black paint would work if you do want it to be a little darker or don't want to see any type of white stripes at all, because sometimes that paintbrush can leave that little white swirl. You can always let this dry and go over it with another layer of black paint. I believe I used 2 layers on this one, and that's the black that I got. So again, that's completely up to you. If you're happy with just the 1 layer of black, great. If you want to add another layer, you can. Again, I'm just following that line pattern that I drew. Ooh. Okay. Like I said, if you accidentally get some black on the white, it's okay. You can always, once this black is dry, just repaint over it with white paint. Okay. So again, this is where it helps kind of wedging it between those 2 fingers, because then you can just kind of turn. Now, like I said, this is the piece where you're probably going to want a plate to let this sit down and dry. You don't want it to be rolling around, because actually what's nice is our egg is already white, so we don't even need to paint the bottom white. I just simply left it the color of the egg. The only thing that you're going to need your white paint for is the little side pieces here. If you want to paint the bottom white though, you have the paint there, so feel free. But I just left the natural white of the egg there to be the bottom part of my Orca. So I'm going to set this down to dry. I have a little extra plate over here that I can set that on to dry. All right. I'm going to close up my black paint for now. And then while that's drying, now's the time where you can pull out that pattern piece that I mentioned at the beginning of our video, and then go ahead and cut out your 3 pattern pieces. Once you have those cut out, you can take your black cardstock, set this aside for now. You can take your black cardstock, and I'm just going to go ahead and trace these patterns onto here. Now, you will only need one of the tail, one of the top dorsal fin, and then you will need to trace 2 of these. So what I did was I traced my tail first. So I traced my tail piece, and I traced my top fin. And then I cut those pieces out. All right, so I have those traced and cut out. Now, for the last one, the one that I'm going to need 2 fins. For what I did for this, you can trace them separately, but I just kind of cut a strip of the cardstock out, folded it in half, and while still folded in half, put my piece on a trace. And then with it still folded, while it's still folded, I'm gonna cut it. That way it'll cut out 2 for me at once. Like I said, you could just trace 2 if you want. I'm just doing this because it goes a little faster. All right. And I have my 2 side fins. All right. So from this point on, once you have those pieces cut, you can go ahead now and back and check to see if it's pretty dry. You're going to want to go ahead and paint the top part where you were holding before, because now you can hold from the side to paint the top part. Okay, and just to show you, because it does take a little longer to dry, I have one that I already started here that the paint is on and the top part has dried with the black, so you can see on the bottom my black piece is done there. Okay, so once the top part of your orca or your whale is completely painted with the black, it's dry. Now it's time to grab your white paint. So you can go ahead and rinse out that brush. Or if you have a second paintbrush, you can pull that out too. And we're going to use our white now. So like I said, you guys have the little cups. I'm just going to use my bottle here. I'm going to shake that up a little bit. Bring back my white plate. Now, for the eyes, this is what you're going to really use the white paint for, where that white is around their eyes. You can see in my example, I just kind of painted a white oval shape. So if you want to trace, you can take a pencil and kind of draw an oval shape onto the black paint to help you, just like if you use that line to help you with the black piece here. But I just kind of eyeballed it and did an oval shape. And again, if I didn't like it, I could repaint it black to do it again, or I just added more white paint to fix it. So I just took some white paint on my brush. And then if you're wondering, well, how far back should I put the eyepiece? Where should it be, towards the front, towards the back? I did it right above. So right above where you have this curved line, where you're going halfway in black and then it curves down, kind of right above this area. I went just painted an oval shape. So see how it's kind of sloppy at the beginning? That's okay, because I can just take my paint and fix it. And like I said, if you end up with a little extra splotch, because believe me, this is about my 3rd time around, just making the examples, it's happened. Like I said, just let it dry and you can repaint over that with black. So it's not the end of the world. You'll be fine. But you're just going to paint like an oval shape of white. You may have to do 2 coats of white. I'll show you on this side. And it comes out like that. So again, this one's not quite the same perfect. I think this one's a little bit more of an oval shape. That one's a little oblong. But again, it's however you want to make it. If you want to make it a perfect oval shape, go for it. If you want to make it a little oblong, either way, I think they both look great. And they both look just like the Orca eyes. So like I said, this is where you can get a little creative and kind of do your own shape if you want it to be a different shape. Again, it's your Orca, so you decide. All right, so once you have the eye pieces painted on, so you're going to do one on this side and one on the other side. Again, like you see, I have this little extra piece here. For the sake of our time in the video today, I'm not going to go ahead and repaint that black, but I can just touch that back up with black paint. But once you have it set to where you want it or how you have the eyes on there and everything's set to dry, that's when you're going to go ahead and do the final piece by putting the tail fins on. Okay. Now, I did use regular glue stick for this, and you can see it sticks pretty well. You do have to give it time to dry. You know, if you guys know that because you've used the glue stick before, it's not going to dry instantly. So you do have to let it sit for a while to give that glue a good hold. Now, let me show you what I did. So you're going to see you have this little lip on the tail here. Hold it against the way I see it. So I just kind of took the top piece in and folded it down. Okay. And then when I put my glue on, this piece that I folded in is where I put my glue. And then I took this and stuck it to the back part of my well. Now, again, it's going to feel like it's just sliding right off. This is never going to stick. Trust me, it will. But again, you got to give it time to sit there and dry. So there's the tail part. I like to put that on first because it kind of lets the whale sit a little bit easier as I put my other pieces on. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the top dorsal fin. I'm going to take the bottom part and just kind of give it a little fold. Put some glue on. Put it on the top. Okay. And then same thing. These you can bend in, but you don't have to actually bend these in because they go to the side. So you can see I didn't bend these when I glued them in here. They're just straightly glued down the side. So find the top part of your fin. Put some glue. And then I just kind of placed it right below my little eyepiece there. And then I did the same thing for the other fin on the other side. Once you have those all 4 glued on, go ahead and let your Orca sit to dry. And when you are finished and when that Orca is dry, he is good to go or she is good to go. And you have your whale.
Friends, are you also participating in our Palmer Summer Reading Program on Beanstack and logging your reading and activities? Well, if you are, you'll definitely want to enter this crafts code, which for the summer craft pack is FISH, which will be right here on your screen. So be sure to enter it for your Beanstack badge and some prize tickets that you can enter into our drawings up until August 6th.